JJ, when you talk about weight loss resistance, do we all have some form of that, or can the normal diet, exercise work for some of the people when it doesn't? I mean, do we all need to maybe check and see what works best for us?
Well, see, I don't see the people that aren't weight loss resistant. They can just read my book. It's like there are those people that you get to work with, you know, and they come more to my group programs, and then you feel like a hero because they're like, I lost this weight, I kept it off, and everything's great. But they're not. They're becoming more and more rare, both because of what we're doing to flip on the poor gene expression due to poor diet, poor lifestyle, stress, and because of all this metabolic damage. So I think that there's a small percentage of the population that's probably not weight loss resistant, but when you look at it now that it's 70% plus are overweight or obese, and of the other 30%, 50% of those people are TOFI, and that's thin outside, fat inside. So you've got 85% of the population that's over fat. Now, if it were easy for them to not be that way, wouldn't they choose that? I mean, are people really going to choose being over fat? Ooh, I'd rather have that. No, thank you. No, thank you to that hot body. I think I'd like to have another 10, 20, 30 pounds of fat on, thanks. You know, it'll keep me warm. You know, so I think that there's a little bit of this in most people, but for a good 30 to 50% of the population, I think there's a lot of it. And that's why they try programs and they don't work. But again, it could be as simple as they're not following the right diet and exercise plan for their genotype, and they're not addressing eating behavior traits that'll like just take them out if they don't, right?
How early is it to find out where we fit and if we are in fact weight loss resistant? I mean, the earlier the better, like with most things, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, if you think of like optimizing health, the longer you do it, the better off you are. You know, the problem is, when do we start really worrying about that? It's like when I started thinking about wrinkles. It wasn't 20 when I was lying out in the sun, you know, on those foil blankets with baby oil. It's like 40, you're going, oh man, right? So we start to all think about this 40s, 50s, when the pain becomes, you know, more obvious.
Yep.
Really, when should you do it? From the time you were born. Your body's a history book that goes back generations. Both with genes and with epigenetic expression. So the longer the better. I mean, the cool thing is we can reverse a lot of this, we can repair a lot of this, but the less damage you do, the better, right? I mean, in the perfect world, and this is all such new science, but starting now, we would test babies and go, okay, here's your diet, right? And every year people would get an adrenal test and an organic acids test and a fatty acid test, amino acid test. They get this whole functional profile, like taking their car to the shop for a tune-up. And you tweak and customize your supplements perfectly to your genes and to your environment. And if you had major events in between each year checkup, you tweak them. And if we did that, probably wouldn't have weight loss resistance, or it'd be very, very slight, because it would be more related to specific genetic issues rather than all the environmental issues.